We'll write the formulas and the names for binary covalent compounds. So when naming covalent or molecular compounds, all the compounds we've named so far have had a metal as the first element, which made it ionic. Covalent bonds are just a nonmetal plus another nonmetal, a bond formed by sharing of electrons between atoms. For example, two hydrogens and their electrons, instead of somebody losing and somebody gaining, they're going to share. They're going to overlap their electron clouds. So you could draw it like this, or you could draw it like this to show that they are sharing the electrons. So we're going to name these with covalent naming rules. Molecules are the smallest electrically neutral unit of a covalent substance that still has the properties of that substance. So there are prefixes that you're going to have to memorize in order to name covalent compounds. They are mono, which is 1, di, 2, tri, 3, tetra, 4, penta, 5, hexa, 6, hepta, 7, octa, 8, nona, 9, and deca, 10. There are only two rules. You never start the name with mono, and you always end the name with a suffix of "ide," I-D-E. Let's look at this example. Here are the prefixes, and molecular compounds are named with the prefixes. They have no charges. The prefixes are the subscripts. So here we have diphosphorus pentoxide, and so phosphorus is the element P, and then di is the prefix, which tells me the subscript of phosphorus. So it would be P2, and then pentoxide would be O, and then pent means 5. So the prefixes are the subscripts. The only time you use the prefix mono is when you have one atom of the second element. You never use mono on the first element. There's no prefix. It's understood to be one. For example, this would be carbon dioxide. Notice I did not call it monocarbon. See, there's only one of this carbon, but we don't start the first of the name with mono. So it's just carbon, and then this prefix means di. It needs to go in front of oxide. And again, we end with a suffix of IDE. This compound would be called disulfur, di because there are two sulfurs, and then there's 10 fluorines, so it's going to be deca, and then instead of fluorine, it's going to be called fluoride. Anytime you have two vowels back to back, like two O's, you'll drop one of the O's, or if you have AO, you'll drop the A. So when writing formulas for covalent compounds, use the prefixes to determine the formula. If there's not a prefix on the first element, then there's only one atom of that element. You do not reduce subscripts when writing the formulas for molecular compounds. So in this example, we have dinitrogen, so it's nitrogen, and di means it has a subscript of 2, and then we have tetroxide. So oxide means it's oxygen, and tetra is 4. And so this is going to be N2O4. For the next example, so phosphorus does not have a prefix, so we just assume there's 1, so it has a subscript of 1, which is just understood. Trihydride. Hydride is hydrogen, and tri means there's a subscript of 3. And so phosphorus trihydride is PH3. So now, pause the video, write the names of the following compounds, and then unpause the video to check your answers. CO is going to be carbon monoxide. We don't start the name with carbon, with mono, so it's not going to be monocarbon monoxide, just carbon monoxide. PCl3 is phosphorus trichloride, Cl2O8, dichlorine octoxide, CF4, carbon tetrafluoride, NH3, nitrogen trihydride, which has a common name of ammonia. N2O5 is dinitrogen pentoxide, P2O10, diphosphorus decoxide, N2F4, dinitrogen tetrafluoride, SO3, sulfur trioxide, and NO is nitrogen monoxide. Notice that in a few places, for example, at pentoxide, it's not penta-oxide. We got rid of the A at the end of penta and just said pentoxide. Also, on monoxide, instead of monooxide, we got rid of one of the O's, and so it's just monoxide. Now, write the formulas for each of the following compounds. Pause the video, and then after you've finished writing all the formulas, unpause the video to check your answers. Let's go over the answers. Diphosphorus pentoxide. It's going to be phosphorus. Di means a subscript of 2. Oxide, pent means subscript of 5. So it's P2O5. Carbon, which has no prefix, so subscript of 1, and then tetrachloride, so it's chloride, Cl. Tetra means subscript of 4, CCl4. Dinitrogen, that's N subscript 2, monoxide, O subscript 1. So N2O1, ones are understood. Hexaboron, that's going to be boron, B, and hexa means subscript of 6. And then monosilicide, silicide is going to be like silicon, Si, and then mono means just 1, so it's B6Si. Bromine pentafluoride, that's going to be Br, only 1 because there's no prefix, and then fluoride is F, and penta means a subscript of 5. Sulfur tetrachloride, 1 sulfur, 4 chlorides, so SCl4. Chlorine, 1 chlorine, dioxide, that's going to be O2. Triphosphorus heptabromide, so phosphorus subscript of 3, bromide subscript of 7, so P3Br7. Diboron trioxide is going to be B subscript 2, O subscript 3. And then carbon tetrachloride, that's 1 carbon, and then chloride with a subscript of 4. So be sure to memorize your 10 prefixes: mono, di, tri, tetra, penta, hexa, hepta, octa, nona, deca. Now it's time to do some practice on Canvas.